guys. Well, something's going wrong here. So today we're talking about how to find musicians for your church. So, Instagram's acting crazy. Hold on. That should work. So as you guys are joining, go ahead and pop your questions in the comments below. We are talking about how to find musicians for your church. I have some tips for you guys. So let's get started. The first tip that I have for you is to ask. If you need new musicians, I'm really big on this. I've never waited for musicians to move into my church or praying for musicians to move in to my church. Honestly, I found that when that happens, they normally move out. So if they move in, they'll move back out. And it never works out for me. I've been doing music ministry for over 16 years. And sometimes there may be cases where it does work, but for the majority of the time, if you are looking for musicians, you need to ask within your local church. So you have several options. You can ask people who either may be interested in learning to play, people who have musical abilities or are a part of musical families. And then you can also just ask random people. I usually ask young people, hey, would you like to learn how to play the bass? Hey, would you like to learn how to play the keyboard or the drums? I'm usually specific when I ask, and they'll say, no, I don't really want to learn to play the bass, but I would like to play the guitar. And so, hey, I need a guitar player, or we could use a second guitar player. And that's always a good way to open up a conversation with people who don't play. And so the second thing that I do is to figure out the basics of an instrument, even if you don't know the instrument. So I've helped people learn how to play the bass by pulling up a bass chart online. Just Google notes on the bass. You can probably find YouTube videos on that, charts. And then if you don't know the keyboard, then you can pull up notes on the keyboard. And so you can work with someone to learn the notes, even if you don't know an instrument. But if you do know the piano, that helps. I'm assuming that most of you already play. And so that's what I did. When I was needing a bass player, is I pulled up a bass chart and we went through the notes on the bass. And so then we learned scales, and that was important. And so if we were ever playing along and I knew, oh, that's not the right note, but I don't know what to tell you, sometimes we would try to ba-da-da-da-da-da-da up the keyboard or up the bass until we found the right note or found out where they were and figured it out. Just like there's no rhyme or reason, there's no right way to do this. If you are looking for musicians, I encourage you, get scrappy. Don't try to do it perfect. Just figure out a way to get somebody playing in church, because that's what you really need, right? Use your available resources. If you guys are just hopping on, I'm answering questions about how to find new musicians, so drop your questions in the comment box below. YouTube is a great resource. The internet has so many resources for musicians. You could even set up a practice time with young musicians where you say, okay, bring your tablets and you're going to watch this video on how to play the bass, and you're going to watch this video on how to play the guitar, and you're going to watch this video on how to play the piano, and you're going to watch this video on how to play the drums. And we are going to learn to play instruments. I mean, you could do that, like I said, if you didn't even play. Or, if you want to encourage them to join lessons, you could do that as well. Musicians do have to be inspired and self-motivated in order to learn, but one of the best ways to do that is to create like a positive peer pressure within the group. So if you have several people that are doing this at the same time, especially young people, it really kind of encourages them to, hey, I want to play too, or this is what everybody else is doing, so I want to get on board. That's what's worked for us. Figure out a way to practice together. This is important. You can practice with the original track. So say you are wanting to learn a new song by Elevation Worship. You can usually Google the chords to that. If you type in the title of the song and type in chords, usually they'll pop up. Somehow you can find them. And then you could all come together and you could play the track over your sound system or through a speaker, and then all of the musicians could play along. I feel like this is a very underused, great tip, because if you think about it, your musicians are playing with incredible musicians, and there's nothing that will make you play better than to play with people that are better than you. It'll make you play better. So do that in your band rehearsals. Do that when you're working with new musicians. Have them play along with the track, because you're developing their talent, but also training their ear to start hearing music in a different way and hearing songs where every song doesn't sound the same, and every song isn't the same tempo, and every song isn't in the same key. You're challenging them to be incredible musicians, and if they become better than you, great, wonderful. That's kind of the goal. Like you want someone to be able to fill your role. You want someone to be able to fill in the gaps, and also to challenge you. That's been a benefit for me. Some of our younger musicians really practice, and they've challenged me to take it on the ball practicing. Okay, another thing that will help your new musicians is to play with drum loops. Drum loops are not for the drummers. It's not to keep the drummer on time. It's to bring the band together as a unit. I love drum loops because it sort of adds an extra instrument in there, and you can really be like bonk, chinking it through a song. And when you add a drum loop, it just sounds like, wow, you guys sound so amazing. And I've worked with music teams before when we use a drum loop, and then somebody will just get up and try to sing a song off the cuff, and like everything like falls apart at that point, because we're not that good yet as a team. But the drum loop has made us sound good. And so if you go to loopsbycdubmobile.com and you click all loops in the nav bar, I'm doing this as I talk to you, so make sure I tell you right. That will give you a whole library of loops. And if you are not sure how to pick out drum loops, I have done videos about that before, so you can check out those videos. So I'm just going to play a random loop that is just here on the top. A Little More Jesus, 97 BPM. Let's see what this sounds like. I need just a little more Jesus. I think that's the loop. That's the song for this loop. But you could use this loop for so many different styles of songs. In fact, if you are trying to build your loop library, go purchase this one, because that's a tempo that's kind of hard to find drum loops for. So you could use this also for, I'm going to play it again. My soul says yes. If you sing it that slow. Bless that wonderful name of Jesus could be used for that loop as well. Actually, while I'm on the phone, or not on the phone, hello. I mean, I guess technically I am on the phone. I'm going to send this to our drummer so she can buy it, because I like that one. That was a happy accident. So then what you'll do is you can import those drum loops into your iPad, your phone, the music app. Just use that to play your loops and just plug it into your system. Okay, I have a question. How do I make my sound more flavorful with my chords instead of playing just straight chords, like playing individual notes? So yes, you can roll your chords, alternate rolling your chords, playing solid chords. You really want to learn to build up a song. So when you're starting off in the beginning of a song, whether your intro or your verse 1, I don't know if you guys tuned into our live I did yesterday on Instagram. I do try to go live in our rehearsals and sound checks when I can. And yesterday I was really encouraging the team and reminding them, like, remember where you are. So if you're really playing a lot in verse 1, I would tone it down a whole lot. Like, really play basic on verse 1, because you want to have somewhere to go. Rhythmically, volume-wise, Learn if you are, I guess this applies to all instruments. Learn to play soft and loud without messing with your volume knob or slider on the keyboard, however it works for you. That is a pro tip that will really start differentiating your playing and really help you sound like a professional musician, if I can say it that way. You guys know what I mean. Okay? So that drum loop resource is going to be of great benefit for you. We use drum loops for every song in our church. It makes such a huge difference, and just makes songs sound amazing, guys. Like, you can literally just play super basic and play with a drum loop, and it's going to sound like, wow, they really play awesome. And it's the drum loop. So I hope those tips help you for finding musicians for your church. The first tip is ask people if they want to play. Get people involved, people that are already in your church, people that have family ties that are already in your church, people that are already there. I mean, they live where they live. They've lived there for years. They're not going anywhere. You don't want to train a drummer and then lose them. Trust me, I've done that before. It's like, train a drummer and a bass player and then they move, and it's like, ugh, heartbreaking. And sometimes that's just life, it happens. And the second tip, figure out the basics of an instrument, even if you don't play it, okay? I can play I always get the name wrong. I think it's the bass pedal, bass drum, and the snare. That's about it on a drum. So I can kind of like show somebody a basic beat. Don't ask me to play the hi-hat or any cymbals or anything like that. That's not my gift. And I also can tell you if you're playing the wrong note on a bass. So I call that winning. And then the third tip is to figure out a way to practice together. You can't get better without practice. That's just the way it is. There's no shortcut. So I would love for your guys' feedback. Let me know in the comments what you do to train new musicians and find new musicians for your church. This is I don't want to say problem, but you guys know what I mean. It's a problem that we constantly face. You have musicians who can't play anymore, maybe because of sicknesses or family or work, things like that. So it feels like you're always needing to train new musicians. So also check out our YouTube channel, Tune Bucket on YouTube. There are a lot of tips for musicians and music directors on there. If nobody's told you today, guys, I believe in you. It's why I keep showing my face. It's why I showed up today when I'm literally wearing my exercise clothes. I've had these on all day, and I actually debated on like looking presentable for this video, but I thought, you know what, hopefully you guys love me like I am, and I want to be relatable and to let you guys know that I don't always have it together either, so that's why I show up here. All right, you guys, I'll see you later. Have a great day.